Okay, we are live. Hola, hola, hola. Buenos días, buenas noches, buenas tardes, cualquier hora es hola. This is Tasha. Tasha teaches Spanish with another episode of Hablamos Español, and I am so excited, guys, to have another male. I'm so glad that we expanded our mission to include anybody who is uplifting the diversification of foreign language acquisition. And so tonight, very excited to have with us Cadeem Marcelino. Hola, Cadeem.
Hola, buenas noches.
All right.
Buenas noches.
And so viewers, if this is your first time viewing, thank you. Gracias. And please, stay tuned and keep following us. But almost every Friday, many Fridays, we come to you with an episode. And so, but as with each episode we start with an introduction. So the guest introduces themselves in Español. That's right. So this gives you, the viewer, an opportunity to test your ability. What do you know? What do you not know? Because I've learned everybody I've come in contact with knows more Spanish than they realize. Even if it's 3 words, that's fine. You know those 3 words and you know them confidently. So now let's see what you know. So Cadeem and I are going to talk in Espanol for a few minutes, so don't get turned off. Hang in there. And at the end, we will answer the same or have the same conversation, so you can get confirmation. It'll be in English. All right. So Cadeem, vamos a hablar de ti, un poco de ti. So sabemos que tu nombre ya es Cadeem Marcelino. Pregunta número 1: ¿qué son algunos de tus pasatiempos?
Bueno, un pasatiempo favorito mío es que, ¿cómo te explico? Llevo muchos años aquí en Florida. Originalmente nací en Nueva York y me mudé de Nueva York a los 14 años, si no me equivoco. Viví, en ese momento me mudé para California, me quedé un año en California y después me mudé para Orlando.
Ay, has estado en muchos lugares.
Sí.
Pero espera, la pregunta era de los pasatiempos, your pastimes, los hobbies, o ¿cómo decirlo?
Bueno, en el colegio, high school, yo nadaba mucho, corría mucho, jugaba mucho fútbol y todo eso.
Ok, ¿fútbol americano o fútbol original?
El original. Okay. Porque mis papás vienen de Caribe, así que yo no sé nada del fútbol americano. Nada, absolutamente nada.
Ok, muy bien.
Pero en ese momento lo que estoy haciendo mucho, yo leo mucho, especialmente en español. Yo siempre busco maneras de perfeccionar mi español, bien sea libros, telenovelas. Siempre yo quiero aprender una nueva palabra. Me fascina la gramática en castellano, español. Y yo siempre estoy buscando una manera de perfeccionarlo. Siempre hay algo que uno puede hacer para ser mejor, ¿no?
Sí, siempre.
Entonces, eso es lo que a mí me fascina hacer, también viajar. Y viajo mucho y disfrutar la vida.
Ok, vivir mi vida, voy a ver.
Exacto. Y entrenar, a mí me gusta entrenar también.
Ok, perfecto, muy bien. Ok, otra pregunta. Pues tú estabas hablando un poco ya de eso, pero ahora puedes explicar un poco más de dónde eres.
Bueno, nací en Nueva York, en Brooklyn. Yo soy de Brooklyn, neoyorquino. Ahora vivo en Florida, específicamente en Orlando. Y mis papás son de Trinidad y Tobago.
¿De dónde?
Trinidad y Tobago, Trinidad y Tobago.
Gracias, ok.
Si hablo un poquito rápido.
No, está bien, pero hablas como tú hablas. Es mi trabajo mejorar y escuchar mejor. No.
Listo. Entonces, mi mamá, bueno, eso es de donde yo soy. Yo realmente en Nueva York. Yo soy 100% gringo, como dicen mis amigos.
Pero parece que querías hablar de tu mamá y está bien, porque la próxima pregunta es de tu familia. Padres, hermanas, hermanos, esposo, hijos, todo. Díganos un poco de tu familia.
Listo. Mi mamá también nació en los Estados Unidos, pero ella fue criada en Trinidad y Tobago. Y mi papá mi papá biológico es de Jamaica. Y ellos se conocieron allá en Nueva York. Mi esposo es de São Paulo, de Brasil. Entonces, en ese momento también estoy tratando de hablar un poquito de portugués. Me cuesta un poquito, pero ahí voy, ahí voy. Tengo 3 hermanos y dos hermanos y una hermana. Y prácticamente yo soy el único bilingüe en mi familia. Mi mamá, ella sabe muchas palabras y ella puede entender una conversación en español, porque ella conocía mucho a mis amigos de Colombia. Yo tengo un montón de amigos de Colombia y de Venezuela, y ella puede defenderse. Pero prácticamente, sí, yo soy el único bilingüe.
Ay, qué bueno. Okay. 3 preguntas más. 3 more questions in Spanish, guys. For those who still are holding on, hang in there. Hang in there. All right. ¿Tu trabajo o trabajos?
Yo soy enfermero registrado. Yo trabajo en ese momento en el cuidado intensivo.
Ok, muy bien. Siguiente. ¿Qué tú quieres ser en el futuro si sea diferente de lo que haces ahora? Si no es diferente, está bien.
En ese momento yo quiero estudiar mi maestría en anestesiología, y eso lo que yo quiero hacer yo quiero lograr eso en los próximos 3 a 4 años. El programa, dura como 3 años. Y también comprar una propiedad en Cali, Colombia.
Ok, qué bueno. Al final, ¿tu canción latina favorita o cantante favorito?
En español, mi grupo preferido es el grupo Town. Ellos son afrocolombianos.
Perdón. ¿Otra vez el nombre?
Town. Ok, ya te explico.
He leído algo de ellos. Sí, esta semana. Sí.
Town, de Chocó, de donde ellos vienen. Quibdó, lo cual es la capital de Chocó, el departamento de donde son. Y Town de pueblo. Okay. Los conocí en Colombia y ellos fueron las primeras personas para llevarme a Chocó. Y mi canción favorita de ellos es hasta hoy en día es Hasta el Techo.
¿Qué techo?
Hasta el techo. Tu amor me lleva hasta el techo. No puedo bajar. Esa canción, uff.
¡Cante!
No, ojalá. Ojalá.
Well, thank you, but I guess that's the reason I need to look them up, because this is the second time this week they've come up. Okay, very good. Muy bien, El fin, the end of the Spanish segment, guys, the end of the Spanish segment. All right, so now let's get to know Cadeem a bit more, his experience with the language, and and hopefully ultimately giving everybody a reminder and some inspiration that you too can learn. Anybody can learn. It's for any and everybody, but definitely don't think you're counted out if you're melanated. Okay, here we go. Cadeem, why did you even decide to learn Spanish in the first place?
Well, when I was in high school, my mom told me, Cadeem, if you're going to study anything in medicine, you need to learn Spanish. And I was like, learn Spanish? Because at this time, I already took German 1 and 2. German was so easy, came so easy to me. And I was like, learn Spanish? No, I thought Spanish was so basic. I did not want to learn. There's nothing good to me that I want to learn Spanish. My mom was like, you need to learn Spanish 1 and Spanish 2. I was like, all right, fine. I listened to her, and I took Spanish 1. I remember barely getting a B. I was like so uninterested in the class. I don't know what happened in Spanish 2. It was like this Dominican girl I was in love with, and she was like Dominican from the island, so she didn't speak English. I was like, maybe if I could like pay attention to Spanish 2, I could really talk to her or whatever. And I don't know, like the Spanish bug bit me. Like I fell in love with Spanish 2, not because of the teacher or the class. I just really became really interested. And before you know it, I took Spanish 3, Spanish 4 in high school. And I was like, okay, I know Spanish. Like I can have a conversation. And then I got into like a college level class. I was like, I don't know anything. So really, it was my mom who really convinced me, saying that if you're going to be a nurse or pharmacist or doctor, whatever you want to do, we have such a big Latin community. You need to be able to serve your population. You need to know that you'll be way more marketable if you learn.
Amen. Yeah.
So that's what she recommended Spanish. And
go, Mom. I don't know if she's watching this. Go, Mom. That's good. And so that happened for me as well. My brother ended up telling me take it. And I was like, okay, why not? And then my mother and father, the reason I ended up getting more serious, because I thought about graduating from college early. And they told me, see if I could make my minor. It was Spanish was a minor into a second major. So family can push you in the right directions if you're coming from the right direction. Yeah, that's good. Go, Mom. Okay, so you already kind of hinted on it. So you did start learning in high school, and then you took it to college as well. No, so in college, was it a minor, just a couple classes?
It was a minor. My major was nursing. So I graduated. My minor was nursing. So I took I stayed home locally. I took classes there. And then I wanted to go abroad. So I took colleges, I like Spanish 1, grammar, those other classes. And my teacher told me, because I felt like I had I could look at words and I could recognize it, probably put a sentence together, a basic sentence, but I couldn't have a conversation. And to me, that was where I was lacking. So my teacher, he was like, you need to study abroad. So I went to Spain, studied abroad for 6 months, didn't like it, was not for me.
We'll talk about that later. I'm definitely interested in that story.
So it wasn't for me. And then through my countless trips to Colombia, I've been to Colombia. I can't even tell you how many times I've been to Colombia. My countless trips to Colombia, I've taken Spanish classes. I've taken Spanish speaking course in Colombia. I have lots of friends from South America, specifically Venezuela and Colombia, and they've definitely helped me a lot. Actually, when I was in college, my friend Anna, Venezuelan girl from Barquisimeto, Venezuela, she always told me, no, you're saying that wrong. No, this is how you say it. And she will always correct on me. She was like, no, you said that wrong. No. And she's 100% bilingual because she learned Spanish. She was small and came to the States and then went back to Venezuela. So she has mastered both languages perfectly. And she told me, you could do it. And she was definitely the very first person who pushed me.
Go, Anna. Gracias, Ana. That's beautiful. And so let me ask you this. How did you end up with so many friends from Colombia and Venezuela? Because they're in New York, or just how did that happen?
Well, it's so funny. So in Colombia, there's a big Jamaican community, huge Jamaican community, because the University of West Indies have like a foreign exchange program where the Colombians will go maybe to Jamaica or those different Caribbean islands and teach Spanish. And UE, the University of West Indies, would have those students go to Colombia to teach English. So my friend Renee, another friend from high school, her sister Jasmine, put me in contact with her sister Renee. And Renee is Jamaican, but lived in Colombia for years. And she told me, forget Spain, come to Colombia, you'll love it. And she's another one who motivated me. Because, she's older than me, of course, but her sister was my age. And the fact that she lived in Colombia for 10 years and she had a child in Colombia. And, her experience is like, oh my God, I just live vicariously through her. And I thought that was so interesting, and how she's an English speaker, but she speaks Spanish as if she was born there. Her Spanish is impeccable. Even to this day, I'm still like, damn, I wish I spoke like you. And I think I speak well.
I think so too.
And I think her Spanish is just wow. I introduce her to my other Colombian friends who are native. You cannot tell them that she wasn't from there.
Wow.
So he was my main motivation, for somebody who was not of that language and to have mastered it so well. I thought to myself, Cadeem, you can too.
That's good. Everybody needs somebody they can look up to.
Right.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. So now, how do you keep the language fresh and your skills sharp now?
So I'll tell you a little story. I've never thought I would have married a Brazilian. Never. That is totally out of my realm. It's been such a long time that I could be, learning Spanish, say my younger 20s. I'm 29 now. So let's say a good 9-10 years. I've been learning Spanish maybe since I was 16. So let's say all that time I go to Spanish speaking parties, and majority population are Latina, and I'll be lost. Everybody's always lost. Like, oh, everybody's having these side conversations, and let me find that one person that speaks English. And now I could speak Spanish the whole night and be completely fine. Like, that's just what I'm used to now. So now I go to a Brazilian party, all speaking Portuguese, and I'm like,
feels familiar.
The language is very, very similar. So if you speak Spanish, you could definitely understand Portuguese. So my skills are coming up. I can't have a conversation as much. I could say sentences, but I could definitely understand for the most part. At least say 60 to 70% of a conversation.
Okay.
So that was definitely used with me. So anyway, back to your question, how do I keep my skills sharp?
Yes,
I always thought, so if I married or was with someone who was Latino and that was their first language, it would be easier. Actually, that's not necessarily the case. I have so many friends. If you go to my WhatsApp, pure Spanish. I have friends in Colombia, mostly my Colombian Venezuelan friends, to be honest. I have friends from different countries, Dominican Republic, maybe 1 or 2 friends from Guatemala, and I could speak to them all the time. That really helps. And in the event that I can't speak to them all the time, music and quality music, in my opinion. I always try, like I said, I always try to learn new words. So for me, I think what mostly helped me with my Spanish is the motivation. I was determined to speak well, determined to sound as native as possible. I was determined to just do the best I can. And that was just because of something of interest to me. It always came like I wasn't, I have to learn this. It was like, no, I want to do this. And also TV. I know a lot of people maybe not care to watch TV in Spanish, but I discovered that for me, watching it in Spanish, watch anything in Spanish, put it in Spanish, and see how much you understand. Watch it again, put the subtitles in English. Like, okay, do that for a few shows, do it for a few series, a few movies, whatever. And then put the subtitles in Spanish to see, okay, how do you spell that word? Or just, just to kind of coincide what they're saying with what you're seeing on the bottom of the screen. And then I would just take off the subtitles.
Okay.
And then I would watch the news, because the news, even in English, people who are on the news speak so well. And they're so well-spoken. And it's the thing with the news in Spanish. So I would literally watch the news in Spanish and repeat everything that they say. And that was like a great exercise. I would do like 2 minutes, 5 minutes of a segment. Okay, he's about to talk about this. I was like, y esta mañana en México, en Ciudad de México, el hombre nos atacó. I would just try to imitate it and also helping with my fluency as well.
Yeah, you're giving me some ideas with that one. I love it. When you first started, so thinking back 10 years ago or 13 years ago, because you said you were 16, but when you first got started, what was most difficult about the language, about learning?
The most difficult is learning how to not think in your native language. I realized, and this will come with time, my same Venezuelan friend Anna told me, Cadeem, learning a language is like putting a electrical wire in the house. You have to build a foundation. Like building a house, you have to put a foundation and build structures, and eventually you can do it. And now, en un instante, te puedo hablar en español, or I can go back to English. So it's like a light switch. Like literally, I could turn it off and on, but that takes time. And I just tell people all the time, persistence and motivation, you can do it. As to anything in life, really. And now just something like, I love the fact that I could tell people, I'm Colombian, and they 100% believe me. And I was like, no, I'm American. I learned Spanish. And they're like, what do you mean? And they don't believe me, especially because my last name Marcelino now. They think, oh, maybe he is Latino.
Right.
And I'm like, no, I learned Spanish. Like, this is not my native language. And they're like, wow. Like, I've been speaking English for years, and I can't speak as well as you do speak Spanish. But like all those exercises that I do, I think this would really, really help me. I'm sorry.
You're fine. The dog said he or she wants some shine too. Hey, dog.
Hey. Sorry.
It's all right. Está bien. So is there anything now? So in the beginning, not thinking in your native tongue. Well, yeah, your native tongue, not thinking in English. But is there anything that's now difficult here?
Yes. Indirect pronouns. Pepe. Sorry. I don't know what he's seeing outside. I still think for me, I sometimes have to question it. Like I'll have to think about it before I speak. The indirect pronouns, the le, lo, la, that always trips me up. And like, what's really helped me with that? My friends correcting me and watching TV. That's what reading and reading. That's what reading is fundamental in any language. That's what I really tell people. So whether it be reading in English, if you want to read something in Spanish, start at like an elementary book level and then work your way up. The same thing in any language. So I will start like kindergarten books. I could say now I could probably read a novel and understand 95% of it now. But definitely the lay, low, and the la. It is hard. And if people ask me, how did you know that? Or how did you learn it? And I'm like, I still don't think I learned it, to be honest. I still have to second guess myself when I say it now. And it's so funny. Like I have a friend, Cesar, he left Colombia and now he's in Spain. And so he was like, he would say to me, sí, es que le quiero mucho when he's talking about significant other.
Okay.
Le quiero mucho. I'm like, lo quiero mucho, Cesar. ¿De qué hablas? Like, you know, to me, like, it's just like, why do you speak like that? Like, he's adapting the Spaniard Spanish now. So I'm just like, no, it's lo, not le, but okay, if you want to say it like that. And I think also for me, like say if you want to call someone, and if you're saying with usted, ya dentro de un ratito la llamo. Ya la llamo usted. Or you could say, or if it's a man, you say, yo lo llamo a usted. But if you ask me, Cadeem, did you call Flujanito? You say, voy a llamarle. So it's like, or you can say, voy a llamarlo.
Yeah.
You know, that really, just hearing people talk, is how I really picked it up. I still think it's still weird, and I still don't think I mastered it, and I don't think I could teach it. But I think I could defend myself somewhat.
Yeah. I look at as great as you've spoken with me and all the life experiences you've had to pour into your ability. I'm sure you got it. I'm sure you got it. But yeah, that's very honest, and I appreciate that honesty of something you still struggle with. Because I know for me, and you're doing better than me, I don't even think I try to learn those. I'm just like, whatever sounds natural, that's what I'm gonna say. And if somebody corrects me, I'll take it. But it's good that you even care. But it's so much. But of course, I still need to work on it. All right, next. So you know, I don't want to forget. Since it's not on here, let's go ahead and talk about now why Spain wasn't for you. I lived in Spain for about 9 months. In Murcia, and it was fine for the most part. As a matter of fact, I had a good experience. Let me not downplay it. But what was it for you that was that?
I did 3 months Barcelona and 3 months of Madrid. Barcelona, no complaints. People really, really nice. Back in those days, I don't know about now. I've been in Barcelona since then. But Barcelona back then, you could be out late. Nobody was going to rob you. I mean, pickpocketers were there. That was really the crime. They'd be out early in the morning. Like, people from Barcelona were really, really nice people. And had a lot of Latin American people there as well. Madrid, I think I got by better. I hate to generalize, but this is just my experience.
Your experience, speak what you know.
I'm not going to say that this will be your experience if you were to go there. I'm just speaking for me. I'm just going to put a little disclaimer there. Nor am I generalizing all the Madrileños, saying that they're all like this. But I felt that I had a better experience letting them know that I was Black American, because I guess they have a really bad connotation or a negative mentality in terms of for the Africans. There's a lot of African population there, so they would talk to you rude, they would ignore you, and if I start speaking in English, you're like, oh, where are you from? I'm like, from the States, and oh, okay. So I don't think it was really not necessarily race, but they just associated me black. He's probably African.
Right. Especially since it's right south of Spain. So
exactly. So that was my only thing, and I noticed that very, very quickly. And I hate to be so. I think, especially here in America, we're definitely so race conscious, you know. And I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't like that. I really didn't have to pay attention to my race until I became an adult, and to see that firsthand in a different country, I was like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. Again, I knew that was just Madrid. Barcelona, completely different culture, completely different people, and it wasn't like that at all.
Yeah.
So that's why I really didn't like it, because for the most part, I end up just speaking English so people will know that, hey, I'm not African, or I'm not here illegal or anything like that. I'm here to study, and I go to this school, and you know, so
and nobody wants to live having to explain themselves like that.
Yes. And that's why, to be honest, when I speak to people in Spanish, people ask me, where are you from? And I'll just say Colombian. And they're like, oh, okay. And they go with it. And because I'm not going to explain to people I went to Spain, I went to Colombia, I studied this. And I'm not explaining to myself. But I know there's a YouTuber. He's in Miami. I can't remember his name.
Bilingual blogs.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he always says how he always tells people he's American. So he's kind of inspiring me, like, no, I'm American. No, I'm American. And so now I just try not to go into the soil with people. It's like, oh, I learned, I studied abroad, and I just leave it like that.
That's good enough.
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, thank you for sharing that. And so now I'm interested. What was it about Colombia that you like, I'm in love? Is it because the more melanated people were there, or just what was it about Colombia?
Colombia. You know, even my Colombian friends ask me to this day, why do you love it so much? Because they don't even understand why I love it so much. I really think what it is for me that did it for me for Colombia, the Spanish was super easy to understand, and it wasn't too far from home. And I didn't know there were such things as Afro-Colombians, because all the Colombians I ever met were mestizos.
Yeah.
Fair skin, straight, wavy hair. And where Renee sent me there, told me to go to Colombia, and I met Afro-Colombians, and I got to learn about their Afro culture and what I can appreciate them for. Because I've met other Afro-Latinos, specifically Dominican, you know, they've always tried to separate themselves from being Black. And I never appreciated it, because I never thought in my head, being Black is not bad. So why do you reject? But then I read into their history at Trujillo and all that other type of stuff that they have to go through and what they had to go through. So I get it. But when I went to Colombia, and then the Afro-Colombians were so proud to be Black, and they're like, no, we're Black, and they know we're Black. We know we come from Africa. And I heard of Palenque, which is like this city outside of Cartagena, and they still speak their African native language.
Palenque. Somebody else to look up. Okay.
Yes. And they still speak their African native language.
Beautiful. Oh, that's deep. The fact that they still know it and it's in the community, not just one old person. It's everybody. It's that whole community.
Yeah, that's what they speak amongst themselves. When they leave their city and they have to speak to other people, and it's like people in Barcelona. When they speak to other people from Spain, they speak Spanish. But when they speak with somebody else from Barcelona, they speak Catalan. Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what really
the history has been preserved. The history has been preserved that long. That's wonderful.
Yes. So that's, to me, that's just what really captured me. I'm like, these people are Black and they're proud, and you know, and I just felt like it wasn't basic. It wasn't basic. It wasn't your average Puerto Rican, Dominican, Cuban. It was just like Afro-Colombian. How many times do you hear Afro-Colombian? Not many. And I've
never heard it in my life. When I hear Colombia, I think Sofia Vergas, whatever that woman's name is.
Yes, but they're outside of Brazil, outside of Africa, Brazil and Colombia have the most Afro people in the world.
Oh, I knew about Brazil. Didn't know about Colombia.
Colombia is right behind Brazil.
Wow.
So I just fell in love with the Afro culture. Even my friends tell me, the ones who are mestizo, it's like, oh, you sound so chocuano. Oh, you sound so caleño. Like they and I said, if you didn't know me, they was like, I know que tú eres negro, definitivamente. Like you speak like a Black person from Colombia, definitely.
But what's the term they use for Black people from Colombia? What'd you just say?
They'll say negro or afrodescendiente.
Oh, okay. African descendant. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's
Okay.
the political correct way to say it. Yeah.
I guess.
Afro-descendant, or Afro for short, but Afro-descendiente.
Okay. Let's see. Where are we? So I don't even know. I wrote this question when I was just thinking about a person from the U.S., been here all their life. But anyway, I guess it still can apply to anybody. So people from my experience have automatically assumed that I'm just rich or on my way to big money as far as next year by being bilingual. Big money means different things, different places. So I'm in Arkansas. Let's say big money is $100,000 a year. Have you found this common assumption with when people who are from here, from the U.S., they find you speak Spanish? Oh, you must be rich, or you're just going to make some great money. Are you familiar with what I'm getting at here? Has that happened to you?
Do I feel like I've had some type of? Do I feel more valued?
Or do people just automatically assume because you know Spanish, you're more valuable or going to?
In Florida, no, that's not the culture here. Why? Okay. Because there's so many Spanish speakers here.
That's true.
That's not the culture here. That's not the mindset typically here in Florida. So, oh, you speak Spanish? Okay, cool. You might have it easier.
You all are used to it out there.
Right. Right. So to say you're going to be compensated well for it, like, no. Actually, my first job, I got official hospital translator for Spanish. And I thought it looked good on my resume. For my second hospital job, refused to do it. Refused. Hey, can I get this consent? Nope, I'm not official translator. And they were like, in a court of law, I am not official translator. I'm not doing it. And it's because they don't pay me anymore and it's more work for me.
No thanks.
No thanks. So at least in Florida, not at all.
I got you. That's honest, because here in Arkansas, it is a rarity, especially to see a melanated person speak. So here it's like, oh, wow, you know how. But yeah, because and there's still a major lack in our hospitals or medical system in general of enough interpreters. Like some hospitals still don't think they have their own services. They'll have to call, and do it over the phone. And then for some hospitals that have the service or the program, it's still a small number, 3, 2, 4 people for the whole place. So it's a deficit. There's a deficit here. So it is a thing for people.
Oh, okay, coal.
But I like that perspective. Different state, different familiarity. Okay, next up. You already kind of mentioned it, because you already said you could tell a person you're Colombian, they're like, oh yeah, he is. Other than that, is there anything else you want to add to how Latinos respond when you start speaking Spanish? Is there a surprise? And you're in Florida, so you already mentioned
all the time.
So they are surprised.
No, there's never, more times likely than not are people not surprised. I remember me starting this new job. So I started nursing in Miami. Everybody speaks Spanish in Miami, so I could tell you so many stories about Miami, but this job here, so I came here and I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's going to be so weird, because this is, I call it Gringolandia here in Orlando. And I'm like, oh my God, allá arriba es Gringolandia, no sé qué más, y no va a ser, Cadeem, ¿qué va a hacer? Y yo, no, Cadeem, quédate tranquilo que todo va a estar muy bien. Bueno. And so I get to work, and I had a patient who didn't speak English. And I'm like, Cadeem, are you going to speak Spanish? And there was a respiratory therapist in there, and I knew she was Latina. And I thought to myself, oh, that she looks Colombian, but let me not just assume that she ended up being Colombian. I knew she was. And I just started speaking in Spanish, and she was like, ay, lo que pasa es que yo tengo un dolor, y ta, 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 ta. And I think her grandson was in the room. And I was like, okay, this medication is for to prevent blood clots or whatever. And it's an injection we give. And so he said, es una tableta para prevenir un ataque de corazón, algo así. And I'm like, no, eso no fue lo que dije. Lo que dije es que es algo para prevenir un coágulo. Y todo el mundo como que, ¿qué? ¿Perdón? And I'm like, es algo para prevenir un coágulo. Lo que pasa es que como usted está en la cama todo el día, no está moviéndose, entonces algo para prevenir. Y no es una tableta, es una inyección. And they're like, oh, okay. And then she was like, I'm sorry, where are you from? And I'm like, where do you think I'm from? And I swear to God, this happened to me 3 times in my life. And I'm so surprised that this happened to me. I started speaking Spanish to people, Latin people, and they're like, ah, yo sé de dónde eres. And I'm like, ¿de dónde? They're like, usted es de Pacífico Colombiano, de Cali, de Aventura.
That's what you want anyway. That's good.
But see, they weren't Colombian though. So they were like from Puerto Rico or from Dominican Republic.
Oh, well, they see it in you.
People know that this place exists, or people know, like, you know, Colombian people know about that. So to see somebody else who is not Colombian know about these different cultures and these different subcultures within Colombia, it's like, wow. And then when he said that, I was like, damn, you had that on the money. Even though I'm not, but in my head, I think
that's what you say anyway. That's your answer anyway when people ask.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
That is wonderful. Well, good. You wearing it well. Look at you, not an imposter.
Just to throw out there, I've learned to accept being my husband and I kind of get into this all the time. You know, at the end of the day, I am American. Mm-hmm. So how many people are there that are American? Because when we first met and I started speaking to him in English, I was like, yeah, I speak Spanish. He was like, okay, let me hear you. And then I started speaking to him in Spanish, and he was like, wow. Because he was surprised. He was like, because when people say, especially American people, that you speak Spanish, they're like, okay, yo calor or something like that, you know, like something very, very basic. Yeah. And when I was having a full-blown conversation, he was like, oh my God. So he taught me, you know, try to remove the race thing out of it. Because I was like, oh, a black man can't learn Spanish. He was like, bájale dos, like, relax. He was like, it's not a black thing or a white thing. It's the fact that you're American. How many Americans you know learn another language? You guys speak English. You guys are born into English. English is the most spoken language in the whole world. You could go somewhere, anywhere in the world, there's somebody who speaks English, who wants to learn, or will try to find you somebody to speak in English.
Correct.
He was like, but you go to Europe and those different, and it's true. I saw it in Spain. Those people speak 5, 6 languages. It's just something that's just their culture. That's just what is known. An Italian could speak Spanish, French, Portuguese, Hungarian. Like that. That's just what they do in Europe and even in Asia. It's just that we in the Western world, we don't do that. So for when they get here and they see somebody, an American who speaks another language, he said, that's what it is, not the fact that you're black. Because even if a white man with blonde hair and blue eyes starts speaking Spanish like you, they will be just as shocked. So it's not because you're black. He said, take that out of it. It has nothing to do with it. It's the fact that you're American and you've learned it to the level you learned it to.
Correct.
So people are always going to be surprised. Just because the way he said, now when I'm in Colombia and I speak Spanish to people, they think I'm from there. So nobody's like, oh, you speak Spanish, until they hear me speak English. Yeah. They're like, right, like, how you know English?
But, you know, I'm going to say this to your husband's point, not to say he's wrong, but maybe it also depends on, once again, where you're from, even in the U.S., because, like I mentioned earlier, okay, your husband's right. There is already a rarity or a lack. It's rare for an American, period, to speak Spanish. But then it's like a double rarity for a melanated person, a black person. So that I'm not saying like it should be the forefront of a conversation. You know, I'm a black person, but it's like we done passed 2 barriers. Number one, because when we get in class, we're not there. It's 2 people in the back, you know, and like I said, most of the time they're gonna be women. So we already got that barrier, past that barrier. Then the barrier of, in general, Americans aren't learning. Boom. It's like going through 2 levels.
Exactly. I agree. I could say me and my other Spanish speaking classes, me and another black girl, or me being the only black person at all. Mm-hmm. So I can attest to that, yes.
Okay, next up. We're almost done. This is so good, Cadeem. You're a great guest. Now, so I guess let me tie this into your family. But the generic question is, how do other races, so black, European, American, Asian, anybody else that's in the U.S., how do they respond when we start speaking Spanish? So I'll connect that to you, even your family, because you said you're the only bilingual person in your family. So how do others respond when you start?
So like, wow, okay, you cool. I've had the shady comments, you know, oh, you just want to be Spanish. I'm like, first of all, it's Latino, Spanish is Spaniard. You know, I'm just saying. But, you know, you get, even from other races. Like I have other Latino people saying, why do you care so much? Or why are you trying to be Spanish? Like you're not happy being black, or like, and I'm just like, first of all, it's yeah.
I know my face almost have to scream, but it's just
yes. And I've gotten those type of remarks, but for the most part, it's been all positive, all positive. And when people say those type of negative remarks, I let it be word off my back. It means nothing. You're clearly ignorant, and you could do what you want. This is my life, and I'm not hurting anybody. And if I choose to think I'm Colombian, so be it, or whatever the case may be. If I think I want to learn Spanish to perfect my Spanish, how I seem fit, then that's just me. That's just what I like to do. And I thank God for all my friends. Like I have my friend now, Juan Felipe. He's like my friend Anna, 100% bilingual, but he is like a perfectionist in Spanish. And when we text and I say something wrong or off key or use the wrong word or anything, he always corrects me. And I just think that's so, I appreciate that, because I have people, I'll purposely write something dumb and they don't correct me. And it's like, well, why? What would it cost you? ¿Qué te cuesta? Like, what would it cost you?
But some people might just think they would offend you, though. Have you told them, hey, please correct me? Because they may think, oh, he's doing well, leave him. I don't want to make it mad,
I've had to learn that too. I learned that too. So it's just, you just have to know your people and your friends, and always kind of make it an open window. Like, hey, it's not my first language, and if I ever say something wrong or you think there's a better way to say something, feel free to correct me. I always kind of put that out there for my native Spanish speaker friends. So but for the most part, I've always gotten positive feedback. A few negative comments or I should say shady comments, but it's neither here or there.
And you mentioned identifying with Colombia. So this is my perspective has been connecting with a culture makes you learn even more, even better. Because for me, I tell people I'm Cuban now. I'm not saying my Spanish is that good. I don't, I'm not, but that's, when I think of Celia Cruz and los Afro-Cubanos, that's where my heart goes. And I used to work in the Mexican consulate here in Arkansas, and this dude told me, Tasha, eres muy salsera, eres a salsera. Like, cause I love salsa music, Hector Lavoe. That's my, those are my folks. Not really, but because there's been a specific country I love, and there's a specific music I love, that makes me want to pour into the culture and the language even more. So I don't think it's, I don't know if you already mentioned negative comments you've gotten, but I think it's a plus, at least for me. I'm okay with identifying with the culture and feeling close, even though I'm not. I'm always honest with people to say I'm not, but I think it's made me want the language and want even more.
I can totally agree with you. Like I said, I even have my Colombian jersey on. I love it's my go-to place. You know what I think it was that was really captivating about me, Colombia. Colombia was able to be me. And I say I was able to be me because when I came out the closet, just a little bit of story about me, cuando mi mamá supo que yo era gay, prácticamente me botó de la casa y todo eso, y yo fui a Colombia y conocí a otros muchachos gay, y ellos también tenía que aprender la cultura gay en Latinoamérica. Y eso también fue como, wow, eso es como algo diferente, porque no es que yo no he salido de closet, definitivamente yo cuando salí, o sea...
Wait a minute. For the guests who may not understand you.
Sorry. I get it pretty good. Sorry. Rewind. I came out to my mom, left the country, went to Spain, came back, moved to Miami, kept going back and forth to Colombia. And I just got to be myself. Colombia was like my safe place. It was just like where I was able to just be me and just be flourish and just be young and dumb in my 20s and just understand who I was and start to understand my sexuality and while I was having fun learning a new language and getting to understand like, okay, there's the Colombian culture, there's the Afro-Colombian culture, there's like the gay Latin subculture, like all these different subcultures. I was immersed. And when things weren't going right with my mom back home and she didn't want to talk to me, I pretty much had a family there. who supported me. So
now, and this is a whole probably another conversation, but just a little bit of it. How is the LGBT subculture there different from the U.S.? More accepting, more out, less accepting, less out. How is it? How does it differ?
And the capital is accepting to an extent.
Is that Bogota? Do I have that right?
So it's accepting for the most part in the capital, because it's kind of like New York. But for other parts of the countries, it's very, very taboo. It's very, very taboo. It is very taboo. Now, I would say people are a little more daring, but those small towns and those small pueblos, it's very taboo.
That sounds like here. That sounds familiar to me. Okay.
Yeah, it's still taboo.
Okay. All right. Ooh, okay. How, where are we now? Okay. Almost there. What do you recommend for anybody who wants to learn the language? And I'm talking about somebody, they starting to zip, nada. Yeah. So what do you recommend?
What I would mostly recommend, reading. Reading helps. If you're zero and you know nothing, and you want to learn, it could be Mandarin, whatever language it is. For me, just a basic introduction courses, the Spanish 1 and the 2, it helps. It helps. You get to go at a slow pace, you get to understand, and you get to challenge yourself. And you have to be patient with yourself and know that it's not going to happen overnight.
Amen.
I'm thinking since I was 16, and I would say maybe at the 9th, 10th year, maybe I would say anywhere from 8 to 10 year mark is when I felt I was starting to flourish. My vocabulary was good. My change in the verbs and conjugating was good. My proper tenses of the word I was using was starting to get better. And 7 years learning a language, it's a long time. It's, you know, it was like, it's not something you didn't learn English overnight, you know?
Amen.
You learned it over time and interacting with your parents and going to school and just having and if you don't have that every day, like I always tell people, you're always going to be at a disadvantage because your family's not Latin. So for me, I have to keep practicing in some way, because at the end of the day, I could lose all of it because I don't have a Latin family. So if you want to start, I say definitely it's worth taking the Spanish 1, going to a local community college, taking it online, take a basic Spanish course, do the homework, and just learn. And find a culture, like you said, find a culture that you like, something that just interests you, and just run with it. Just run with it. And then you'll begin to make friends, you'll start to network, you'll start to meet people, and you'll start to practice more and more, and then it just grows. So I definitely say starting with the basic courses, and look at anything like persistence and motivation, you can do it. Hear me out. I started from nothing. I couldn't even, all what I just said to you guys and the little rant I had, I couldn't do that. I promise you, I have no Hispanic background whatsoever. And motivation. How bad do you want it? As long with anything in life.
Amen. That's good. How bad do you want it? That's good. Amen. Took me to church. Took me to Spanish speaking church. All right. Is there anything else you want to add? Then we'll get to your intro in English. So for the viewers who are still watching, thank you. And you all can get confirmation on what you think you heard him say in the beginning. But anything else you want to add? Funny story, bad story, just more information, anything?
I think I said all the funniest stories. I guess I would say starting out in this unit where I work, one of the doctors, he's Colombian. I wasn't sure where he was from, so he had an accent, and so I just asked him, ¿de dónde es usted? De Colombia, de Cartagena. And I was like, ¿cómo así? ¿Usted de Colombia? Qué chévere, da, da, da. I never said I was from Colombia. Never said anything. I just, you're from Colombia, cool, da, da, da. We just talked a general conversation. And so, and next time he saw me, he was like, Cadeem, like, how's your family in Cali? I'm like, where? Your family in Cali? And I'm like, in Cali? ¿Cómo así? He was like, does your family live here in the States? I'm like, Doc, I'm not Colombian. He's like, what do you mean you're not Colombian? And then a physical therapist was walking by, and she's from Colombia too.
There are just Colombians all around you. My goodness.
Right. She was like, you're not Colombian? And I was like, no, I never said to you guys I was Colombian. They're like, wait. And then she was like, let me look at your last name. And then it says Gibson. She was like, okay, so where you from? And I was like, and I displayed to them, and they were like, oh my God, Cadeem, we've been working with you for 6 months, and we swear to God. And I was like, ay, mire, hay un negrito que trabaja con nosotros de Cali, and you're not Colombian. I was like, no.
Now, wait a minute. Why they keep calling it Cali?
Cali, Santiago de Cali. Because
thank you.
Santiago de Cali.
So that's a specific city there.
Yes, Cali's a specific city, yes.
Is it a lot of Afro-Latinos there or something? Okay, I got you.
It is 75% of the population are Afro-Latino.
Oh, gotcha.
It's a big one. It's a big one. And just like the different things that also, every country, different places you talk to have a different variety of Spanish. Pick one you like, stick with it, but also understand that there is just Spanish. There's Spanish that's spoken in novellas. There is Mexican Spanish, Dominican Spanish, there's Colombian Spanish. There's different dialects within these countries.
Correct.
Learn whichever Spanish you want to learn, but just know that there is just a general, understood, like how there's a common English. You might have a different sign that we use here in Florida. That's something that's different that you guys may use in Arkansas. This is the same difference. I remember learning with my Venezuelan friends. In Cali, they like to use vos. Saying tú. And not to be mixed up with vosotros. Vos is something else. Vos is
I'm not even good with vosotros, so I know I can't do vos, but go ahead.
In Cali, they like to use that a lot. And when I first heard it, when I got to Colombia, when I got to Cali, because in Bogota, they don't use that. In the same country, they have their own different way of speaking in each city. It's so crazy. And I would hear my friends using that, and I'll try to use that when I came back to the States and try to use that on my other friends, they from Venezuela. And they're like, no. Or even my friends from Bogota. And they were like, Cadeem, I'm going to say this in Spanish. She was like, Cadeem, yo sé que te fascina mucho la cultura de Cali y todo eso, pero si realmente quieres perfeccionar tu español, mejor si no uses eso. Deja eso en Cali y quédate con usted.
Oh, why? Like, what? Is it
because they said, it's what they said, porque jamás verás el vos en un libro. Así que no existe. Es algo coloquial. It's colloquial Spanish. So people from Bogota are very, very fingers up. It's just the culture, their culture. They like to interest me with some crazy topic, or let's talk about politics and use these big words that I've never heard before. And that's how people in Bogota are like attracted to each other. And that's what they find interesting.
So they feel like vos is too low level. That's for lower class. Is that it? That's what I'm hearing.
Pretty much. I would say so. It's kind of associated with a classes thing. So, like you and my friends from Venezuela, I was like, y vos no tenés plata, instead of saying no tienes plata.
Yeah.
Vos no tenés. And they're like, what? They understand me. They're just trying to be facetious with me. So just learn that there's just a regular way of speaking, but you'll learn that all with time. Have fun with it. If people correct you, take it for how it goes and just have fun. And that's what I just have fun.
I just like to stick with usted. Everybody do usted.
You will work perfectly in Colombia, because Colombia like to use usted with everyone.
Yeah. Just usted. I don't know you. Let's just use that. Okay. All right, Cadeem. So let's go on and wrap up with la introducción en inglés. So we already know your name. It's Cadeem Marcelino. Your pastimes. What pastimes did you mention earlier?
I believe I said I used to swim. I used to do like cross country track. I think I said running.
Correct.
And did I say anything else? Football.
Reading.
It's football, as in soccer. And reading as well. What I do now, besides reading, I said entrenar, which is AKA I go to CrossFit. CrossFit is my favorite thing to do when I'm off.
I've considered it, but I hadn't taken the step. Taking a big step. Okay, next up, where are you from? ¿De dónde eres? Where are you from?
Born in Brooklyn, New York. My parents are from Trinidad and Tobago, the island, the Caribbean. Lived in Brooklyn until I was about 14, then transplanted to Florida from 15 till now.
And can you go on and educate me again? ¿Cómo se dice Trinidad en español? Trinidad y Tobago. ¿Cómo
Trinidad y Tobago.
Trinidad y Tobago.
Trinidad y Tobago.
Okay. That wasn't too bad. Okay. Let's see. Tell us about your family.
I said my parents from Trinidad and Tobago. My husband is from Brazil, and I am 100% New Yorker from Brooklyn. And I have no Latin background whatsoever.
And then you mentioned your siblings.
Oh, yes. And then I have 2 brothers and 1 sister.
Okay. Muy bien, muy bien. All right. Your job or jobs?
Registered nurse, and I work in the ICU.
What do you want to do in the future, or to be in the future if it's different from what you're doing now?
I would like to get my master's or doctorate degree in anesthesia and buy my retirement home in Cali, Colombia.
All right. Last but not least, your favorite Spanish song or song from Latin culture, or a singer from Latin culture?
Singer, I think I said the group name, which is Chucky Town, specifically Goyo. She's the female artist in the group, and Hasta el Techo.
And you said they are from Colombia?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I forget. I just saw them, so we saw their names, so that means I should look them up. Okay, muy bien. Well, thank you, miles gracias, Cadeem. I appreciate you. Glad to meet you and know you and learn about you myself, because we've never met. So
no, we haven't. I'm so glad to be a part of your project. I am here for any other more things you want to do. Please feel free to reach out to me. This is my first time I've ever done anything like this, and I was so excited. And I was telling everyone, I was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna have like a little interview in Spanish." Like, I've never done anything like that before. And I was like, "Why are you so nervous?" I was like, "I don't know." I was like, "Cadeem, you speak fine." I was like, I know.
Yeah, you had a personality for this. You had a personality for it. So, all right. And I see Pepe in the back. Good night, Pepe. Since you
yes.
Thank you, Cadeem. Have a good night. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.